Season 1 of the HBO Harry Potter series hasn't even been released yet, and the show is already falling apart. I'm sure you've all heard by now that Gracie Cochrane, the girl who was playing Ginny Weasley, has dropped out of the HBO Harry Potter series, which leaves us with a big problem because they've already filmed scenes with Ginny in it. So if they don't recast Ginny as someone who fits the role and looks like Gracie, then the whole show is going to be looking completely disjointed, especially considering the fact that they promised us a perfect, essentially, series. I mean, that was HBO's reason for creating the series in the first place, wasn't it? That was the reasoning they gave us for not creating, you know, something we actually wanted, like a Marauders spin-off series. They were like, well, the films, they didn't get all of the elements of the books in, so we're gonna make a series and make sure that they are completely book accurate. Well, last time I checked, Ginny didn't change after book 1. So this comes at a particularly bad time, especially considering the next season to be released is season 2, The Chamber of Secrets, which is arguably Ginny's biggest role in the entire part of the Harry Potter series. Although she does obviously become friends and eventually become Harry's girlfriend, I mean, this is the part where she's taken over by Voldemort, so they kind of need a good, solid Ginny, and right before they're about to film, they've had to recast. However, I suppose that you could argue that it's also a very good time to recast out of all of the times you could recast Ginny. I mean, not that you would want to, but if you had to, you'd rather do it after book 1 rather than get 5 books down the line. I mean, this is kind of true because Ginny isn't really shown that much in the Philosopher's Stone. In fact, we only really see her at the train station at the beginning and possibly at the very end when Molly Weasley meets the Dursleys, and Arthur Weasley also. There's been a few rumours about the on-set atmosphere. Now this is particularly interesting because it leaves me not blaming Gracie. In fact, the on-set atmosphere is largely created by HBO. Maybe they need to do better. So let's break this down and have a look at Gracie's family statement. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Gracie has made the challenging decision to step away from her role as Ginny Weasley in the HBO Harry Potter series after season 1. Her time as part of the Harry Potter world has been truly wonderful, and she is deeply grateful to Lucy Bevan, who is the casting team, and the entire production team for creating such an unforgettable experience. Gracie is very excited about the opportunities her future holds. Now, HBO actually responded to this, but they didn't seem that upset. The question that we'll discuss in a minute is that because they're just trying to cover their image, or are they actually supportive of Gracie? Now, HBO said, "We support Gracie Cochrane and her family's decision not to return for the next season of HBO's Harry Potter series, and we are grateful for her work on season 1 of the show. We wish Gracie and her family the best." Of these two statements, there are a few things that I find particularly curious, which I think might hint at the underlying problem. First of all, is they just said unforeseen circumstances. They didn't actually delve into what the problem was. Now, in previous experience with people who are in the limelight, if something goes wrong or they have to drop out and they know a lot of fans are relying on them, they typically tend to share that, especially if it's something like a health problem or, something like health problem or mental health. That is something that they would share, and they'll be like, oh, she's had to step away because of her mental health. And actually, I find a lot of the times in that case is fans turn around and create support, which, knowing the backlash that the HBO Harry Potter series has already had from fans, especially in the casting department, it's quite a strange decision, if that is the case, to not share the true reason as to why she's leaving, because you know fans have very strong opinions about this, and most of the time they're not really good ones. It's better to share the true reason so fans can be supportive rather than fans getting up in arms about it and essentially possibly making the issue much worse. Gracie's family said that they are truly thankful to Lucy Bevan, who's the casting agent, and the entire production team. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever you see the behind the scenes on a film or TV series, the cast end up like a family. So why didn't Gracie's family thank the rest of the cast? cast, especially since they're all around Gracie's age. And in theory, they should have been really close friends with all the hours they've been working on set together. To me, that is something that's peculiar, and also it just really makes me question the underlying reason for Gracie's departure. HBO seemed to support Gracie's decision. I know we just said, like, do they actually support it, or are they just trying to cover themselves from a PR perspective? But they actually seem really genuinely supportive in their message. It wasn't short. It was quite short, but it wasn't like, wishing Gracie the best, hope to see you on screen in the future. Like, it was quite genuine. That leads me on to my theories. Now, there have been a few fan theories circulating as to what this unforeseen circumstances might actually mean. Now, the first one is one that I don't agree with at all, to be honest, and that is that Gracie has found bigger and better work that's not compatible with the 8 to 9 year run of the series. Let's be honest, HBO is not a small production team, and they've been doing this for a long time. So surely she would have had to sign a contract that said she will not bin off the HBO series, essentially, for any other work. Furthermore, in her statement, she said she is excited for the opportunities that her future holds. Now, if you still want to be in an acting space, it would seem extremely weird to me to not continue with the HBO Harry Potter series. Obviously, we know the series is not going to be as big as the films were. I mean, the films were an absolute global phenomenon. But off the back of the films, some of that fame will be redirected to the series. And if she wants to make it big as an actor, it would seem like a really silly decision to step away from the series unless there was something genuinely wrong. And that leads me on to theory number 2. Maybe the pressure of the workload was too much, especially as people were pointing out that from season 1 to season 2, the workload for Ginny dramatically increases. But Grace is a child actor. She's in the industry, and her parents have also been in the industry looking after her. They know how this works. She's been in Beetlejuice and Blitz. Come on, and once again, about the contracts, surely that would be something that was explained to them in the very beginning. So that just is not a viable option for me. You cannot say that it's workload and pressure unless you were to circle back to my earlier mental health point, because obviously Gracie is at a time in her life where I think everyone goes through this period coming into their teenage years where they feel quite insecure and quite stressed and maybe don't have the self-confidence. So unless it is mental health related, but like I said earlier, in which case I don't think they would have used the words unforeseen circumstances. That brings me on to the rumour that I am very convinced by, and that is on-set bullying. If it comes out and it's different, I will put my hands up and say that I was wrong. But the on-set bullying allegation just seems the most viable for me at the moment, because in that case, they would use the words unforeseen circumstances and would not tell us anymore, because they don't want to name drop other actors. They don't want to name drop people in the industry. That looks bad on Gracie, especially if she wants to continue an acting career. The on-set bullying allegations have come out quite strong in the past few months, and that was the fact that they had 2 12-year-old extras actually having a physical fight on the set, shouting things at each other like, "I'm going to get you," after filming. So the atmosphere clearly isn't the best, and it would also make sense as to why Gracie's family thanked the production team and the casting agent, but not the cast. So with that being said, which one of those rumours do you think is the most viable? Or do you have another opinion that's not the same as mine? Because I would love to know. I'm very interested by this. Do you think it's fair that we don't get to know anymore? It seems odd, like I said, but I also think that not telling us more has got to have something to do with the bullying allegations. Like I said, about not name dropping other actors. Furthermore, it's probably something that's trying to be swept under the rug, because if HBO know they've got 8 more years of this, they really don't want a bad rep from the get-go. They've already had bullying allegations come out, so it's likely that they would have told Gracie's family, like, you can't share what actually happened. You need to just write unforeseen circumstances. And also, sometimes it feels a little bit difficult as someone who, is bullied, that to come out and say that. So maybe it's something she wants to keep to herself, because that feels quite private as well. So I do think all in all, it's quite fair that they don't tell us what those unforeseen circumstances are. And I would also say, when season 1 actually does come out, how it's gonna look. Because I don't know, but I have an inkling that they might try and cut Gracie's screen time down a little bit, because obviously they're still in post-production phase at the moment. So I think they might try and make it as short and sweet as possible and not try and get her face in that much, because they now know they're gonna have to recast her, which is kind of why it's a good time for her to have let them know, because they are able to do that. It's possible that a lot of fans will be really upset by this. I know for me, I definitely felt like Gracie was the perfect Ginny. I mean, just take one look at her Instagram. This statement came as a massive shock to me, because on her Instagram, she'd been posting how excited she was to play Ginny. And then when you see the actual pictures and videos of her on her Instagram, it's like she is such an outgoing little girl. So she just feels like she embodies Ginny perfectly. And I feel like for child characters, that is so important, because obviously, especially with the Harry Potter series, these kids are going to have to grow with these characters throughout the year. So it's very important that the core of them is also matching the core of their character. Gracie just felt like the perfect person to bring justice for Ginny, because we know in the films, Ginny did not get the personality she deserved. She was really watered down. Yeah, it really does feel like quite a loss. And I even saw that on her Instagram, she posted this video of her in like one of those inflatable, I wanna say they're like water obstacle courses, and she was like swinging on a rope, and just the caption was like, "This is fun. This is called fun," or whatever it was. And it's just like, she's just so outgoing. She just really was the perfect Ginny. Saying that, we do have Lucy Bevan on the case trying to find us a new Ginny, and Lucy Bevan is arguably one of the best in the industry for casting. In fact, she's done Barbie, and I don't know if any of you would have seen it, because it's quite a UK-based film, but it's called Belfast, and it was an amazing film. And a child was at the centre of it. Lucy Bevan really found a child that could play that character perfectly and be raw and real. So I do have hope that she'll do the same for Ginny. Now, I think there are a few things that you have to consider when you're recasting someone, especially for a massive series like Harry Potter that fans already are not impressed with. And a few of those things come down to talent and personality, like I just mentioned, but I also think to an extent they also come down to looks. Now, we know the Weasley brothers have also been already cast, and what I really love about that is they all have this very similar look. They genuinely look like they could be brothers. And I think one massive aspect of this is their hair colour. Yes, I know what you're saying. They're all ginger. I know they're all ginger, but if you actually look at the type of ginger their hair is, it's like the same tone, you know, because there's obviously a spectrum, and there's like really dark ginger, light strawberry blonde, and they all got a really bright, fiery red ginger hair. I think that's something that's really helping to make them actually look like a cohesive family. And I think they all have like such jolly round faces. I don't know how to explain it. They all just look really cheeky and really lovely. So I think that that's something else that you're going to have to look for. Now, there has been 2 names announced that they think might be in the running for a possible new Ginny. One of those names is Thea Achillea. She actually has brown hair and brown eyes. And despite the brown hair thing, because of course they can dye it, I don't actually think like her facial features match the other brothers. Because if you look at the Weasley brothers as it stands, like I said, they're all cheeky, round-faced, just jolly. Like you just say they've got such jolly, cheeky faces, and she has quite like pointy features, and I just don't think visually she'd fit in. She also doesn't look like Gracie in that sense. I don't think she'd fit in and look like a member of the family. Furthermore, I feel like it is just so important to really centre the Weasley family around Ron as well, because Ron has the most screen time. And I feel with Gracie, she really looked like Alistair Stout, who plays Ron. There is another name in the running, and that is Ember Indiana. Ember Indiana would be a great Ginny. Now, I know nothing about her personality or her acting skills. So from that perspective, I can't say anything. But purely from visual-wise, she would be an absolutely great replacement to Gracie. First of all, I think she does just look like a bit of a younger version of Gracie. I don't really know how to explain it, because I don't know if she is actually younger than Gracie, but her features do make her look a little bit younger than Gracie. She has that same colour hair as the rest of the Weasley brothers, and that same sort of rounded facial features, and So I think she would look absolutely amazing as Ginny. I don't think Lucy Bevan is convinced or super convinced by these girls just yet, because I keep seeing open casting calls everywhere for Ginny Weasley, and they say it must be a girl between 10 and 12, I'm pretty sure. Let me know what you think, and if you've heard any other names that are in the mix to be a new Ginny. I'm really excited about this coming out. Basically, I'm really excited for the announcement of Ginny, but also for season 1 to come out, and then we can see how HBO are going to carry this forwards, because I think there is a lot of potential there. When I have more updates for you, I'll be back. On our channel, we also have deep dives into all different Harry Potter lore, and then anything labelled Spellbuzz is specifically about the HBO series, and that's with me. So I'll see you next time. Bye!